welcome to This Week in Campus Rec. I'm one of your hosts, Jay. I'm joined by my co-host, Clayton. How you doing, Clay?
Doing all right, Jay. How are you doing on this Friday morning?
Not too bad. So every Friday we will try to do a interview series with whatever guest we can get, quite frankly. And this week we got really lucky. We have our Assistant Director of Programs, Adam Burke here. How you doing, Adam?
Doing well. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning. So the purpose of this Friday series is to leave our guest with any nuggets of wisdom to kind of get to know our interviewee, and to kind of try and leave you all with some wisdoms of nuggets and some inspiration going into your weekend. So I guess we'll get started to getting to know our guests. Adam, could you kind of tell us and walk us through your journey in Campus Rec?
Sure. So my journey in Campus Rec started at my undergraduate institution, Colorado State University. Go Rams. As a sophomore, I started working as a resident assistant in the residence halls, and some of my fellow RAs were like, "Hey, you like sports?" And I was like, "Yeah, I like sports." And they said, "Okay, I got a job for you. You should come be an intramural official." And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." Okay, so I went to this interview. They interviewed me. They were asking me like, "Hey, what sport experience do you have?" And I said, "Well, I'm a swimmer." And they said, "Okay, what other sport experience do you have?" And I didn't have any. So I was MVP of my t-ball team when I was 4. I played on a Little League basketball youth team through the Y, where all of my teammates and I fought over number 23 because of the GOAT. And I sat on the bench most of the time because I wasn't the coach's son. So that's my sport experience. None of that really helps me with fishing, but they hired me anyway. And I started officiating flag football. From flag football, I did a little bit of soccer and some basketball, which I was both terrible at. And I found my niche in officiating inner tube water polo, which I was very good at. Well, inner tube water polo officiating is my jam. So I kind of did that for a couple of years. I got promoted to be an intramural sport manager, which was the highest rank of undergraduate intramural staff. I did that for a year, I think a year or 2 years, something like that. And then I found out the intramural coordinator at the time said, "Hey, did you know you can get graduate school paid for by running intramurals at certain schools?" And I was like, "No, but sign me up." So I started looking for programs that had outdoor focus, master's degrees. I applied for schools, and then I went back and I said, what out of the schools I applied for, who has GAs? I found one. One of the schools I applied for had GAs in rec sports. That was Oregon State. Go Beavs. And I was lucky enough to apply for one GA and get that GA, as well as getting that academic program. So not the advised route if you want a GA, but it worked out for me. So went to Oregon State. I spent 3 years there in Corvallis. And that's where I got introduced to club sports. And I helped manage the intramural sport and club sport programs while I was there. I got a master's degree in forestry, and I got a graduate teaching certificate for college and university teaching. So went through that, graduated, and started looking for full-time jobs. And I was lucky enough to come to the University of Wyoming as the club sport coordinator. I started working with clubs here, had a brief stint as the interim intramural coordinator here, and now I'm in my current role as the assistant director of programs, where I oversee intramurals, which is where I started, clubs that I got at Oregon State, and now the outdoor program, which really ties my education back into my job. So just celebrated 5 years here at Wyoming, and looking forward to the future.
Well, we're super glad that you are at the University of Wyoming. Happy that you're our boss. So you're working towards your doctorate of education. Can you go over what that's like and what are you doing your dissertation over?
Sure. So I just finished my third full year of classes. So I've been taking classes, multiple classes each semester for the last 3 years, um, in addition to working. So um, I've been learning a lot. I've had a lot of self growth through the process, and I just completed my comprehensive exams. So I was able to do the written exams and then successfully defend them. And so I'm now a candidate for the Doctorate of Education, focusing in higher education administration. So that's kind of been the process. It's kind of where I'm at in the program. Really excited to start focusing on my dissertation and writing and some of those things.
Why did you choose the topic that you chose?
Sure. So for my dissertation, I'm really interested in looking at the impact of non-academic staff on student success. And so as we start to look at the literature, we see very clearly that there's a gap in the literature around non-academic staff as individuals. The literature is very clear that participating in the social sphere of the higher education experience is super important. The student retention models tell you that. The literature within specific program areas tell you that. We know that students who participate in activities outside the classroom are more likely to retain and they're more likely to graduate. So we know participating in the programs is super important. What we don't know in the literature is how do the non-academic staff who administer those programs, how do they impact student success? Do they impact student success, right? And so that's what's missing. And so that's what I'm going to be looking at. I have I am a non-academic staff member, so I'll fully admit that there is a bit of a conflict of interest or bias there. It's maybe more of a bias than a conflict, but so I see the work that non-academic staff are doing, and so I'm interested from a research standpoint what that impact may be, and then how that impacts organizational leadership, organizational structure, how that may impact the way that we can support staff members, some of those things.
Okay, nice. So you went into this a little bit, but can you explain why you feel this is an important topic in terms of what you're currently doing? And then what do you see this doing in your future, and what do you want to do with this in your future?
Yeah, so again, I think I'm hopeful that my dissertation will create kind of a research avenue or a research agenda that can start to dig into how institutions can promote and support and reduce barriers for non-academic staff in their mission to help students succeed. I would say people who are working in higher education are working in higher education to support students, to watch them grow and help them graduate so they can go change the world. And I'm hoping that my research can just kind of help support that mission that institutions have on the student affairs or non-academic side a little bit more. And as far as where I'm hoping this takes me, it is a higher education or say doctorate of education in higher ed administration. And so I'm really interested in continuing down the administration route and exploring organizational structure, exploring organizational leadership, and just kind of seeing where that route takes me. And I think that the doctorate helps open some doors and open some opportunities, and we'll just kind of see how things go and where they go. But that kind of administrative piece about supporting our staff so that we can support students and watch them be successful, I think that's really the direction that I'm hoping to go.
That's awesome. We have a kind of one more question for you. We try and do this at the end of all of our episodes. Is we take something that we know about the person we're interviewing's experiences. We kind of ask them to kind of elaborate on that. So I know you were an Eagle Scout. So what skills or lessons do you still carry with you today from that time?
Sure. So I was involved in scouting for a really long time, and I think it was a transformative experience to make me me. And uh, I was able to do a lot of really cool things through scouting. I was able to do, a ton of camping and a ton of outdoor skills and a ton of that stuff that maybe you typically associate with it. But I also got a lot of leadership opportunities and was able to go to leadership camps and staff leadership camps and teach leadership to other scouts and younger folks. And I was able to do that on the local scale. I was able to do it on the national scale, and I also got an opportunity to go over to China in 2008 to teach a bilingual leadership camp. That was not necessarily scouting, but I got the opportunity from scouts. That's where it was derived from ultimately. So with an organization called Capable Teens. So really transformative, I think, as far as making me me. I think it developed my love of the outdoors, which influenced my higher education journey and getting degrees in forestry and natural resources. It also helped me instill in me a sense of values, core values or core beliefs that I still use today. So while I may not use all of them, I think the impact of having values instilled and the importance of values, core values, instilled in you from a young age is something that has influenced the development of my core values to today. And recently, the University of Wyoming has implemented a set of community standards or community values that our code of conduct is based on and some of those things. And so I think I'm really able to connect with the university and how they're implementing, these things that we're deeming as important, these core values that the institution is saying are important to me personally, because that's something that's been important and present, since I was really young. So those are some things that I think, scouting has really given me. It's definitely shaped who I am today, and I'm sure will continue to.
Awesome. Well, that is all of the questions that we have for you. What we like to do at the end of all of our interviews is have our guest give out a little piece of advice for the audience going into the weekends. So if you could give out a piece of advice or just a little drop of Adam Burke wisdom, that would be great.
Perfect. Okay. I got two things for you. The first thing is a quote from Walter Wriston. And Walter says that judgment comes from experience and experience comes from bad judgment. And that's something that I resonate with pretty well. Sometimes it's hard to understand, to judge things until you've made a decision and it wasn't the right decision. And that makes your judgment a heck of a lot better the next time. The other piece of Adam Burke wisdom is that if you see a turtle on a fence post, you know it didn't get there by itself. And that's just something to think about.
If there were ever two great nuggets to just John Gruden, knock on wood if you're with me, those two are it. Thank you, Adam. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for listening or watching live. If you're watching live or listening on a playback, make sure you give us a like, subscribe. We'll be doing this hopefully every Monday and Friday throughout the semester to kind of keep you updated on what's happening in Campus Rec and to continue to share these great nuggets of wisdom with you. Got anything else for us, Clay?
That sums it up great. Everyone have a great weekend. We will be back Monday.
Go Pokes.